Hi everyone, Fina here from Fina Reads. Welcome back to my channel. Today with a book review. Just a fair warning up front, this is not going to be a fantasy, sci-fi or horror book review, which is what I usually read, but rather a really fun, quirky mystery story that I thought is perfect for the long weekend that is coming up, at least in the US, so we can binge something quirky throughout the weekend. And in particular, I am talking about the Finlay Donovan series. The first 4 books are out, including a novella, and they kind of form a complete arc. Yes, there's an overarching storyline that still continues with a new book coming out in March 2025, but I think the first 4 books are a great first arc that you could read if you want to test out the series and don't want to wait a long time for, a continuation or want to sit with a cliffhanger. The Finlay Donovan series currently consists of Finlay Donovan is killing it, Finlay Donovan knocks him dead, Finlay Donovan jumps the gun, and Finlay Donovan rolls the dice. And then between book 3 and 4, there's the novella Veronica Ruse Breaks the Bank. Finlay Donovan is a recently divorced mother of 2. She is struggling to survive. She's struggling to put food on the table. And while she is an author of crime novels, she is also currently dealing with a writer's block, which is not helping in that entire situation. The divorce was really messy, and her ex-husband is, well, let's not talk about him. He is a piece of work. And we start the story as Finlay Donovan meets with her agent in a cafe, and she is trying to convince her agent about the new plot that she is kind of having in her head and make sure that she, gets a nice advance for that new book that she hasn't really written yet. Interestingly enough, someone is listening into that conversation and kind of mistaking that for something else. And Finlay Donovan ends up with a request to killing someone's husband because that other person thought she is a contract killer and not an author. She didn't realize that. And Finlay Donovan sits there and, as you would imagine, is like, well, I'm not a contract killer. I can't do that. But, she kind of still stumbles into this situation. So those 4 books are essentially about her being a contract killer. Kinda. And that's the funny part about the story. So first of all, you need to know that this mystery novel is over the top. It's ridiculous. It's a situation that I don't think would happen this way. I don't know. Who knows how much reality Elle Cosimano is putting into these novels. But it is ridiculous and over the top in a fun way, in a quirky way, and in a way that you can only love the main characters at the end of the day. From a main character perspective, it's not just Finlay Donovan and her 2 kiddos herself, it's also her nanny that plays a very important part throughout the 4 books. Actually, the novella between book 3 and 4 is specifically about the nanny Veronica and her backstory. That novella, as a side note, is really short. I think it's helpful to read it before book 4 because there's a lot of backstory that helps with understanding certain situations in book 4. The characters are one of the things that I really love about the series. While it starts off in book 1 more as a very plot-focused and just introducing the idea of an author being a contract killer, throughout the series, those characters develop and they become near and dear to your heart and you feel for them in all of these ridiculous situations they're in. So it turns from a plot only into an also character focused series. And if you've seen my channel before, I love a good character development. Besides Finlay and Veronica, who are our main characters, there are a couple of side characters as well. Of course, her ex-husband, who is interesting, and I definitely have opinions. So if you've read this series, let's talk about that husband. There's another love interest in this series as well that is very wholesome and heartwarming, and I think fits really well into the story and adds a lot of quirkiness and even makes ridiculous situations even more ridiculous just because of who he is. And the other part that I really loved about the series is these ridiculous situations. As you can imagine, with a series like that, a lot of things happen by accident, and she stumbles into situations by accident and then makes them worse by accident. And in every single of those 4 books, there was a point where I said there, you'll never get out of this. She will be found out now. There's just no way. And Elle Cosimano somehow does this in a really funny and elegant way throughout the entire series. And that makes it even more entertaining. So I can highly recommend this series if you're looking for an entertaining read, if you're looking for a series that is highly bingeable, that you can just eat up in a couple of hours on a long weekend. And if you're looking for something where you can just phase out the real world for a couple of hours, this is perfect. So I hope you don't mind that I did a quick book review on something that is not fantasy, sci-fi, or horror, and a bit milder, I have to say, than what I usually read. But I wouldn't talk to you about the series if I wouldn't have truly enjoyed it and think you could enjoy it too, right? Right. Let me know down in the comments. Have you heard of the series? Have you even read the series potentially? And if you're not reading Finlay Donovan over the long weekend, what are your reading plans over Labor Day? Anything going on? And while you're letting me know what you're currently reading, don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed this review and the subscribe button if you haven't already. I'd love to see you in another video. Until then, I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Bye!